We'll kick things off with Wendell and Wild, right? So, this is a stop motion horror comedy.
Yep.
It is directed by the legendary Henry Selick. The reason why I call him legendary is because of his, his contribution to animation, right?
Yep.
Whether it is the classic Nightmare Before Christmas
Right.
or Coraline or whatnot. Coraline,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Both shows which I am not the like I love them, but I'm not like the huge I'm not like the
They,
biggest
they,
fans of
they
them.
exist is only because it's stop motion. I mean,
Yeah,
sorry to say it. Like they don't have
exactly.
anything else going for it. But they're solid stories on their own.
Agreed. Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
I
but
realize
it's not
I
something that
realize
I
it.
watch every single year.
It is
Especially
one it is
Coraline. I haven't
yeah,
watched
both of
that
them.
since like
I'll
ages.
say they never stick around in terms of like as a Christmas or horror classic or thing. Like it has been somewhat forgotten. A
Yeah,
Nightmare Before Christmas especially. That was like a big thing, and then it's kind of just went away.
yeah, but people like still go to it. What I love about Nightmare Before Christmas is that you can watch it on Halloween, you can watch it on Christmas. That's itself, right? But
Yeah.
anyway, so but also another reason why I want to see this too is pretty much this is the reunion, if you will, of Key and Peele, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, because like ever since what was the last thing they did? Keanu, I think,
Oh yeah, that was
way back
terrible.
when. Yeah, which I skipped because it
Yeah,
was
no,
trash, right?
pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was always wondering when they were gonna like reunite. Now, I figure, well, Jordan Peele
They didn't do
doing Oscar stuff now.
right.
So Keegan just doing stuff, right? I
No,
didn't
Keegan
think
was
that they
in
were
some
gonna.
stuff recently, man.
No,
He
I
was
know,
in
I know, I know they still work. I'm not
right,
saying that they're not friends anymore, but I was just kind of wondering when the dynamic duo was gonna come back now.
right.
Well, this show kind of answered it, right? Um, I try to go into the show as blind as possible, right? So I didn't really like, well, I kind of glance at the trailer, if you will, right? But I didn't really want to go in knowing everything about it. I want to go in fresh, right? I'm just kind of wondering what to get with it, right? And in a nutshell, it centers on the character of Kat Elliott, right, who is played by Lyric Ross, right? And she is pretty much established as this orphan. You saw what happened to her parents is very traumatic, and she ends up in this boarding house for. Well, I don't want to call it a group home, but basically this boarding school for girls, right?
Yeah.
And she learns a little something about herself. She learns that she actually has this this mystical power, if you will, right? And it causes her pretty much to not to communicate with the dead and demons and whatnot. But she also learns that she has a power of being able to see into the future, right? That
Right.
we actually see how she learns that as well, right? So while all this is going on, now we introduce the characters of Wendell and Wild, right? They are these demons. They are set up. They pretty much in the show's version of hell. Like it is hell, right? But
Yeah.
it's technically not that, right? Their father is called Buffalo Belzer. He's played by Ving Rhames. I should have known it was him just off the voice alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just has that
Yeah, that
deep bass in his
gravelly
voice, right?
voice.
That
Yeah.
gravelly voice, right? Yeah, and he pretty much is, well, the Lucifer. He's the Beelzebub of this place, right? But I will give this show credit, but they have these, like, I would say just from a world building perspective in terms of visuals and whatnot. This is like some of the most unique stuff I have seen, like, visually in a long while when it comes to animated horror comedies, right? Because yeah, essentially he runs this theme park. That's the best way I can describe it, right? But it's literally on his body, right? So literally he just kind of rocks back. He's resting. He's talking to like these ghouls, right? These spirits that's pretty much gone into hell, right? But it's like this amusement park literally on his chest, right? Like he's observing everything, right? But Wendell and Wild now are actually his sons, right? And their job pretty much is just to make sure that his hair. It's a weird show, but I'll try to make sense of it,
Right.
right? His hair is kept, right? So they just kind of walk literally on his head, right? Because they're very small compared to him, right? He's very large. They're very minute, right? And they just pretty much like put like this hair cream on his head, and it just sprouts up these hairs, right? So that's their job, right? But their dream is to have a theme park of their own, this theme park for spirits, if you will, right? And they learn that this hair cream pretty much could raise the dead, right? And in the process, one of the brothers ends up having this vision of Kat herself, right? So they assume, oh, okay, we are specifically her demon, so we have to serve her, right?
Right.
So through some shenanigans, they end up in the real world, right? and they test out the whole hair cream stuff on the dead, so people rise from the dead and whatnot, right? But their goal basically is to ensure that they build this theme park in the real world, right? The cat is just like trying to figure out what's going on, but of course, her parents are revived in the process, right? And then we learn now that we have this rich family called the Claxons, right? Subtlety, anyone? And
Right.
their job pretty much is just to run this place, right? Well, the name of the name of the town, sorry, is called Rust Bank, right? And it's established early on that there was this brewery where a lot of people were working and whatnot, and well, there was a mysterious fire and a lot of people died, right? And well, you kind of learn obviously it's them, right? And they pretty much are running this juvenile hall, if you will, the same boarding school and whatnot, right? So yeah, the show kind of sets up stuff about gentrification and about the prison
Right.
program and all that kind of stuff, prison reform, sorry, and they pretty much tell you, yeah, it's all about them making money. They don't really care about rehabilitating prisoners. It's just about making money, right? And just to jump into the review here one time, right? So again, going in blind into this, right? I was actually surprised at the subject matter that they decided to touch on with his shoulder,
Right.
because
Nice.
I just did like thinking, okay, this can be some sort of family friendly stuff, you know what I mean? Not really something to really think about. It's just spooky stuff and beasts and demons and ghouls and all that kind of stuff, right? I didn't expect prison reform and well, I did expect prisons and gentrification and stuff like that, right? And then it kind of made sense that one of the co-writers of this is Jordan Peele, right? I know some people is be mad at him for trying to stick social commentary into his films, right? Like he's Keith Boyd,
Yeah, well,
just pretty much everything he's done,
yeah,
right? Whether
exactly.
it's
Sure.
Us or
Who
Nope
complaining
or
about
Get
that?
Out, right? No,
Like, is
some
it that
people
way
just
it is?
I know,
Yeah.
but some people just kind of had like I know it have people who just kind of find, all right, oh gosh, you had to do the messaging again, Jordan, like
Right.
dial it back now. It's like no, this is what he does, right? And I
No,
think it
yeah,
makes sense
again, if
because
it,
he
the
is a
issue,
black filmmaker
the only
and
issue
he's
is,
using horror
yeah,
to do that, right?
no, I think the only issue is the soapboxing problem, no, is whether or not you do a soapbox or you do the lazy route. But to me, like, stuff like Nope, I have problems with Nope.
Me
But
too.
Nope, like, we're trying to say and talk about is like, oh, that like actually really interesting because hardly anybody's actually talking about that. It's core conceit, no. Like, all right,
Agreed. Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I didn't expect that in the show. Like I just think, all right, it's just gonna be like light in terms of story. Like I didn't think that it was going to go this in depth, right? And yeah, it just made the show really like unique. I would say this is a very unique film, right? The story is I really don't want to use the word original, right? But yeah, I just haven't seen anything like this before, like narrative wise, you know what I mean? Even the character of Kat, the way how she's like visualized and whatnot is yeah, just different, right? She really does feel like not she doesn't really feel like a cartoon character. She feels like somebody who literally could exist in the real world, right? Like like a just your average teenager, teenage African American, right? So it works here. She doesn't feel like a cartoon, if that makes
Right.
sense, right? But just all that stuff involving Clarkson, well, Clarkson Corp, that's the name of the company, yeah, just caught me by surprise, right? Now, I will say in terms of flaws though, it does kind of feel narrative wise like it's spinning a lot of what's the term? It's spinning a lot of plates, right? So yes, you want to do the social commentary stuff, and you want to make sure that people understand the brevity of things, but at the same time, you want to do the whole spooky story about these demons and the dead rising back and all that kind of stuff. Now, so it's kind of trying to balance a lot of things, and not all the time it feels you know um not all the time it works out very well, right? It sometimes leans on one corner, like okay, we really want to touch on this, or we want to touch on this aspect or that aspect. So at times it could feel a little uneven in terms of the narrative, right? But again, I just have to applaud the fact that yes, they're doing this whilst telling this really unique story involving the supernatural, right? The voice acting is solid throughout, man. I did not expect to hear McGill, Angela Bassett as well too. She
Right.
plays
Okay.
one of the nuns who works at the place, and we learn that well she learns about who Kat is. Well, Kat actually is what you call a Hellmean, right? So she has the powers and whatnot, right? And also, I didn't expect to hear, well, again, I said Ving Rhames, right? James Hong is actually in this as well, too, right? He actually plays one of my favorite characters. He plays Father Bess, right? So he's this
Right.
this priest who works there, right? I mentioned Ving Rhames before, but yeah, I really dug the voice work with Jordan and Keegan, Michael Keith. Right? I just love that it was just the band back together doing their thing, right? Although Jordan does a much better job in terms of hiding his voice, right? Well, you will know it's him because yeah, he's the short, rotund, character, right? While Wendell is the skinny guy, right, who always kind of overreacts to things, right? But yeah, I knew it was Keegan, the moment I heard his voice. But Jordan did a much better job in terms of like hiding his voice, if you will, just adding a little detail into his voice, right? The music was also pretty solid as well too. They actually did this really, again, just unique thing. They add a lot of punk rock into this as well too. So you hear like you was expected to hear some sort of hip hop or something like that, given the fact that it is this African American teen, right? But no, you hear a lot of punk rock in it, and it makes sense too because, well, slight spoiler, Kat's parents were very much into punk music, right? So all right, it worked. Okay, right? The animation, the stop motion animation, top notch from start to end. I will say though that in terms of visuals, there are a couple of transitions that kind of like I wish they kind of done it a little bit better. They just kind of look a little cheap, a little forced at times though. But other than that though, in terms of just the world, how it looks and whatnot, yeah, this shit looks great, right? But again, it's just the story itself is just really like unique. Again, just something I haven't seen, right? So I would say just to wrap things up, just going into it, I would say just how to say you do get the spookiness, right? I will say it is something that it will make for great Halloween viewing and whatnot, right? But if you're going expecting this thing to be the next Nightmare Before Christmas, you will be like largely disappointed. This is something totally different, right? But again, seeing that Jordan Peele is involved with this as well too, yes, you do get some message stuff in it as well, and he is incorporated some social commentary into it as well. Which again, like I said, just caught me by surprise, right? And I think for some people they might find it a little shoehorned, a little bit forced or whatnot, but
You're right.
nah, I think that it actually fits in this world here, right? So yeah, again, this is just something totally different, just totally off the off kilter, I would say, in terms of animation, right? And surprisingly adult too as well, right? Not too adult, right? I would say rated wise this could be like a PG-13 if you will, but there's still enough visual goodness and whatnot and spookiness that kids could gravitate to, right? But yeah, this is something that kids and adults could watch and take from the show from take from the show what they will, right? But I will say, just to jump into rated, I don't see it right now being this, the next Coraline or the next Nightmare Before Christmas. But I will say over time, as years pass, we will probably look back at this show and be like, yeah, this had a lot to say and this had a lot to offer in it, man. So I won't call this thing a classic as yet, but I do believe that over the years, yeah, we could see this up there as well, definitely one of the best stop motion animated films ever made. But I talked in terms of animated films and Halloween films as well too. Yeah, this could be right up there, man. But just in the long run, right? So rated wise, I'm gonna give this lighter, decent 3.5 out of 5, man. This is
Nice.
this is worth checking out. Not the best thing I've seen so far, in terms of like Halloween theme animation there, but there's a lot really in it to dive in and dissect and to appreciate, man. So it's on Netflix right now. If you're looking for something a little bit different to check out, yeah, I mean, give this a look, man. Give this a
Nice.
look. So before we jump back into Netflix now, I have to talk about Pearl, right? This is a prequel now to a show that I covered this year called X, right, which came out, I believe, in March, right? This is also directed by Ty West, and it is also starring and co-written by Mia Gott, right? Who, like I said in that review, actually was a stand-up performer in that show because yeah, she played two roles, right? She
You're right.
played Maxine, who was this porn star who was working on the film that the film within the film in X, right? And the character, well, the old version of Pearl, right? Who was one of the owners of this not a, well this property, if you will, this farm, right? And yeah, well, this show here pretty much follows, well, we just pretty much see in the early days, or just the early times, if you will, of that character of Pearl, right? So just jumping into what it's about, right? So it's set in 1980, right? And it's so interesting that the show decided to do this, right? It's actually set during the influenza pandemic. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that we're watching this period piece and you're seeing characters with masks on.
Yeah.
I thought that
No,
was
people,
really,
yeah,
really,
exactly.
really clever,
Influenza was
right?
a
Yeah.
big deal. kill a set of people. Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
yeah. And it works, right? In terms of just setting up the world of this, right? So introduced to Pearl, right? She is living on this farm. Well, actually, it's the same farm from X, right? I thought that was really clever as well, too, right? Her mother, well, she lives with her parents basically, right? The German immigrants, right? Her husband actually, Howard,
right.
actually is serving in World War One, right? And ever so often you see Pearl reading letters. So it's the usual thing. I'm in the war and I'll be back. Don't worry. We will resume our lives together, but you don't have to fight this war, right? So you know how it goes, right? So Pearl now is pretty much at home. She has to take care of her father because he's paralyzed, right? And the mother is very, very, very domineering. I mean, this is not new as far as horror films go, but yeah, she's very domineering. She's usually always, if not, she's usually, if not always, against Pearl, bettering herself or wanting to pursue, goals and whatnot. She just always like, no, it's about taking care of your dad. Your dad did a lot for you, right?
Yeah, she's stuck.
Yeah, it's like that, right? It's the carry stuff, right? It's like that, right? So it's set up early on that she has these dreams of being a chorus girl, right? She has these dreams and whatnot of wanting to dance and sing and all that kind of stuff, right? There's actually a great scene involving her going to a movie theater and actually seeing like a film of chorus girls and whatnot, right? But early on they established that yeah, she is not right in the head. She
Yeah,
is psycho AF, right? She likes pitchforks, right? And she
yeah,
likes to kill things with pitchforks. That's all I would say without spoiling anything, right? So we kind of just see it, just how she kind of sees the world, how she tries to break free of being at home and whatnot, and mainly her conflict it just involves, which I'll talk about later on, right? Involves just being just going to this audition. It's for this traveling troupe, right? And she's just adamant about joining this. She believes that this is her dream, this is her destiny. She has to go into this. But yeah, at the same time now it's like, well, my parents did, and I still waiting on my husband, right? I forgot to mention too, just similar to X now, they do establish the whole leak. If you remember, oh sorry, yeah, if you remember, in X there was a leak and there was an alligator there, and yeah, they kind of set that up as well too,
yeah.
right? As something that is part of her life, right? And I'll just stop here, right? So, um, did not expect when X dropped, right? That we were going to get these prequels, right? So this is actually the first of two that we're supposed to get, right? So the
Right.
second one is supposed to be called Maxine.
Oh, Max is a prequel. I thought that was a sequel to
Oh no
X.
no. Actually, it's a sequel. It's a sequel,
Okay,
right?
right,
Because slight spoiler, yes, Maxine does survive. She lives at the end of X, right?
right.
In Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of style. She drives off in the end, you know what I mean, and laughing, ha ha ha, die, and all that kind of stuff, right? Blood all over and whatnot. Because yeah, she survived. She's the final girl in X, right? So yeah, you will see how things play out there, and of course it will be played by Mia Goth, right? So touching on Mia Goth for a bit, boy. If you thought that, like for me, I was blown away by the fact that she was playing dual roles in X, right?
Yeah,
And here she just doing one role. She's just playing young Pearl, right? And I will tell you one time she delivers probably one of the best performances I have seen in 2022, bar none. And a lot of people will see this about this show, like just one of the best performances. I would almost go as far as saying this is Oscar worthy. Not saying that that I wanted to get nominated, but if she get nominated for this though, that would be really amazing, right? But yeah, she kills it literally in this performance, right? Because she gets she just nails the whole doe-eyed, vibe of the character, and it makes sense too given the time period of the show too, right? But you could also see just how tormented she is emotionally and well psychologically, right? And yeah, how easy it would be for her to just snap, right, and just go ape shit on somebody, right? Yeah, I love how she did this, man. She's not, she has this naivety about her. She has
you're
this
right.
kind of childishness about her, but she has like just these deep-rooted feelings about her, and they just get intense the more that they aren't, settle or handled, if you will, right? Yeah, especially when it comes to just being loved or just being with someone, right? Or just feeling regret or feeling angry. Yeah, it just kind of always amps up to a certain level, not to 11, but it always amps up, right? But yeah, how Mia like just like embodies all those moments so were absolutely great. There's a great moment involving there's this monologue involving her, right, where she's talking to her husband. That's all I'll say, right? And just the range of emotions that she gives in that in that monologue, I should say, in that monologue alone, boy, wow, great, right? I will talk about the end in a bit, right? But more on issue, right? Um, this might be a gripe for you, Ricardo, boy,
Right.
but for me, I think that it works, right? Because remember, you had to think about the fact that this came out, like this was just greenlit and produced immediately after X came out, right? Yeah, this is a low budget film, right? True. Even though it's a period piece, it is very very low budget. And I don't want to call it cheap or anything like that, but it feels very economical. It feels like something
Right.
that probably would have been filmed in like probably 2 months,
Yeah.
and they just edited, put it together, boom, right? But I like that. But for you, Ricardo, I imagine you might watch it and say, nah, you could have put a little bit more cash into
Now,
it, and like
horror,
some like
horror,
how you
horror is
say with
one.
Clerk Streamer, like how you
No, no, but
this
you
is
see,
like the
horror could get away with that.
right.
Yeah. 'Cause I think the other show we plan to watch, what do you call it? Um,
Oh,
gosh,
Terrifier
Terrifier
too,
2,
yeah.
right? Yeah, Terrifier 2, pretty cheap, from what I understand.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and if it's one genre where you could get away with low budgets, of course, it's horror, right?
Yeah.
But the show just does a fantastic job of setting up the world regardless, right? So yeah, like when it comes to like say color graded, for example, yeah, points for the color graded. It has this very how to say this sort of 50s Douglas Sirk kind of melodrama kind of look to it, right? This even the style of it is very Douglas Sirk inspired, right?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like just the visuals themselves, like the color grading. It has this sort of technicolor look to it that really works with the tone of the film and whatnot, right? Because yeah, even though you're getting like these bright colors and whatnot, yeah, it's pretty much still in this dark story, right? It also reminds me a lot of Midsummer, which ironically is also
Right.
from A24, right? Where yeah, a majority of the dark shit that happens is in daylight, right? And yeah, it just makes things even very very much unnerving, right? And yeah, it totally works here, right? The side characters, I mean, they're there, they do what they're supposed to do, right? But really, it is Pearl's story. It is about it's just like about, I don't want to say a day in the life, but it's just like an experience, just what it was, why she is the way she is, right? I know, there's maybe more to her than it. Like over the years, she become more and more psychotic, and then when we see her elderly in X, that's why she is the way she is, right? But here it's just like. Yeah, you could see like this is the early days. This is like the early beginnings of this killer, right? So it totally works here, right? What I will say in terms of just gripes for me though, um, I find like the main conflict, if you will. I felt like there should have been a little bit more stakes to it, really, because when you think about it, it's just I want to be a chorus girl, and here's an opportunity, and I want to to be in this traveling thing. Okay,
Right.
and that's it. That's the motivation she has to just be part of this chorus line. That's it, right? But given the times and the whole the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, yes, it makes sense, right? But I was just expecting some little bit more in terms of stakes there. Just like, okay, because at the end of the day, it's whether she win or not, right? And well, I mean, it's no surprise how things play out, right? But still, it's just like it's just a contest, right? It's audition. That's really what it is, right? So I know for some people, just be like, all right, well, that's it. That's really what it's all about. But it's not really just that. It's just kind of
Right.
just see like a snapshot of her life, right? So yes, there are some kills involved. There are some really intense moments there, but really just her motivation to go to this thing. I just felt like it was just a little skeletal. I just wanted more, right? Also, I know this might be a gripe for some people, but I actually kind of like this about the show. The kills themselves, right? You may find them to be a little cliche, but because I know Ty West, even though I'm not familiar with all of his films, right? I know Ty West is like a huge movie fan, right? Like, I could see it with the show. You could tell that he is just channeling like just these classic films of the 30, well, I should say 30s into 60s, right? I know that's what he's going for. Right down to the music as well, too, being so whimsical and melodramatic. Also, he actually gave my boy Tyler Bates to co-produce co-produce to co-compose, sorry, the script for this, right? Sorry, the score for this, right? The other person being Tim Williams, right? Who also worked on Get Out. Didn't even know that, right? But yeah, he also worked on the John Wick franchise, by the way, right?
Right.
But yeah, he is going like he just wants this thing to feel like you're watching some film from the 40s or 50s, right? Even right down to the text itself, like when you see the opening text and whatnot, the transitions with the from scene to scene, yeah, they feel very much lifted from like a classic film, right? But yeah, but just going back to the kills themselves, right? Yes, they are kind of cliche and whatnot, right? But there's one kill in particular that had me cracking up. It's one of those moments where it's like this person could have easily escaped, but a certain something gonna happen, and then so said so that it happened, right? Though some people might look at this and say, okay, this is just tropes. Okay, you have to do this because a horror thing, blah blah blah. But I think it's just Ty was just literally fucking with the audience. Like I think that he just has a dark sense of humor and is the kind of sense of humor that I vibe with. So yeah, when moments like this happen, it's not like it's supposed to question like, oh gosh, why are you so stupid? It's just like no, he just reveling in the fact that yeah, this is this is just the way how he wants to see characters die, right? So it's like that. It's silly, but it works. Right? It's similar to like how X was, where you kind of find yourself laughing, but at the absurdity or the just the clichéness of it all. But it's meant to kind of relish in the joy of the genre itself, right? And lastly, before I get to Rated Boy, I will say this much without spoiling anything. This has easily the best closing shot of anything I have seen in 2022 thus far, right? Again, going back to the sense of humor, it is absurd and it's funny at the same time. And I didn't
Right.
watch this thing, and I just like watching it, and I kind of smile and I kind of laugh at the same time too. But then it's just how it all plays out, by the way. And then the music itself, like it starts off really like whimsical and melodramatic again, right? And then it just slowly gets dark and demented and twisted, right? And you're just watching this shot go on, and you just feel like, all right, why is it still going on? Why stop it, right? In your head, like in my head mentally, I was like stop it, right? But I was still in awe of just that final shot, though. It is so amazing, right? But anyway, I don't want to spoil anything beyond that. So yeah, I did not expect that we was gonna get a prequel to X, and here we got it. And yeah, I absolutely enjoy this, man. I don't see this right now being like in my best of for the year though, but this is definitely one that I will remember by years end. By this came unexpectedly
Nice.
for me, boy. But this was great though for what it is, right? So going into this, guys, I would say don't expect this thing to be some sort of game changer as far as psychological horrors go. It's not that. It's just this portrait of this really mentally fractured character. And lastly, what I'll say before I get to Rita, though, I love the fact that it does not paint her as this victim or as someone that they should pity, or oh, she's evil and we should hate her because she's evil. She is compelling enough that you will understand where she's coming from. You understand why she is the way she is. But just leave a little few bits open where yes, she will get psychotic on people, right? And that's I would say that's like another gripe of mine where I wish the show could have gotten a little bit more in depth into her psychosis. But it's one of those things like with horror where it's like, well, you have to kind of fill the blanks in yourself why she is the way she is, right? And just treat it as is, right? But still, as a portrait though of just this mentally fractured individual, yeah, this absolutely works. So, and Mia God, she owns this. She's the best thing about this movie. Her performance will go down as one of the most memorable of the year, bar none, regardless of genre, right? And yeah, I really can't wait to see what we get here with what we get next. Sorry, with Maxine, man. So yeah, written wise, I'm gonna give this a decent, a strong 4 out of 5, man. Pearl was a real deal. I
Nice
did not
man.
expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but I did. You know what I mean? And again, if there's one reason to see this movie, is Mia Gut, but and stick around for that final shot. It will play during the credits, don't worry, but stick around for it. Trust me, you will remember that shit for years to come. Cause yeah, I definitely gonna remember that final shot for years to come as well, right? So yeah, Pearl is a real deal. Definitely check it out. And last but not least, let's talk about Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of
Yeah. So,
Curiosities.
I only watch one episode of this. Is the one that everybody kind of hype up. The one with Kate Maguchi in it. That's episode 4, I think, with the
Now,
skin thing.
it's a good thing you bring up that. It's
Yeah.
a real good thing you bring up that,
That's
right?
the best one.
So All right. Well, I'll get to that episode a bit, right? So, what this show is about, right? Of course, is from your boy, the legendary, one of the directors and screenwriters that I always look up to, Guillermo del Toro, right? His trajectory in his career, his track record as far as films goes, is the kind of stuff that I always look to. It always inspires me. You know what I mean? As a non-American filmmaker who's able to make it big, right, and stick within not so much as a particular genre, but just pretty much let the world know, hey, I love monsters. This is what I do. I love monsters. My films are going to be about monsters, right? And throughout his career, right, from Kronos all the way down to Nightmare Alley, right,
Yeah.
it's always been about monsters, whether they are, actual, like, demonic creatures or whatnot, or people themselves, right? It's always been about that, right? And yeah, he stuck with that, and through that, he just came up with some of the best films I would say ever made, whether it be stuff like Blade 2 or Kronos or Devil's Backbone, or of course, the
Pan's Labyrinth.
masterpiece Pan's Labyrinth, or quite recently, Nightmare Alley, right? He just kind of he just kind of carved a name for himself, right? As just one of the best filmmakers to just touch on, yeah, just pretty much morbid and macabre subject matter, right? He just does that very well, right? So yeah, much to my surprise, we got this show here, Cabinet of Curiosities, right? And I find it so funny that I'll bring this up in the review here, right? That I'll say right off the bat, if you felt like, Twilight Zone, well, I should say the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone, right? It's so funny bringing him up, right? Like we didn't need that Twilight Zone, or maybe we did, and it just didn't play off the way it did. Yeah, this is kind of like the replacement for Twilight Zone, right?
Right.
This is
Yeah.
kind of what it is, right? And what I would say though, before I jump into the review here,
I
right?
was more thinking. I was more thinking it's like a horror version of Black Mirror.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, as well too. Right, right, exactly. Um, but what? Yeah, well, why I also say Twilight Zone too is because yeah, it kind of centers on this narrator, the host of
Yeah.
the show, somebody who's gonna guide us into each story, right? And I do like how Del Toro does it as well too, right? So he does not direct any of these segments, right? Any of these 8 episodes, right? Each episode is directed by a particular filmmaker, right? So whether it be Guillermo Navarro, I was actually glad to see his name on it because I know Navarro and Del Toro are best buds, right? Um, we had Catherine Hardwick, we had Panos Cosmatos, right? I'll get to him in a bit.
Yeah.
We even had Jennifer Kent, who directed one of easily one of the best horror films of the past decade. That would be The Babadook, right? So yeah, point is he is given these established filmmakers because they're not no newbie filmmakers, right? Yeah, every filmmaker involved in this project pretty much have been in the game for years, right? And yeah, they just put their own spin on these stories, right? Now, what I will say is that Del Toro actually wrote two of these stories, right?
Yeah.
And a couple of them, believe it or not, actually based off of short stories by H.P. Lovecraft. I was like, all right, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense to see his name show up in this as well, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially what this is just, well, yeah, like, as I say with Black Mirror, this is just an anthology series, right? It's centered on, and, it just kind of reminds me of, shows like Tales from the Crypt or Night Gallery, right? Where you have this prop, right? And the prop is pretty much kind of like what is going to lead you into the story or stories, right? So yeah, in this case, Noe Del Toro and he's just a stickler for detail, right? So yeah, he has this gigantic, well-made, I should say, cabinet, right? And each episode he just kind of comes in, introduces the show, and points for him also introducing the director himself. So you say, yes, the name of the episode is this, and it's going to be directed by this person. I love that, right? So yeah, in this cabinet now, he just kind of opens up a drawer or a section or whatnot, and you'll pull out a prop or a prop or two, right? And that will pretty much show up in these episodes, right? So touching on the one that you saw, Ricardo, the outside, that is episode 4.
Yeah.
That one
That
is, I
felt
would
that.
say that is my second favorite,
Yeah.
but
That felt like it was directed by Nadia Lee Cohen, if you know who that is. It's this kind of weird, uh, you know, kind of retro horror look to everything, but
I
it
see what you mean.
unnerving as hell.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Because in terms of the visuals, what I really dug though, because I was watching this, right? So one thing about this series here is, this surprised me actually. They're mostly period pieces. They're mostly set in, not, they're not contemporary based, right? But with this one here, particularly outside, right? I was watching this thing and tell myself, but this should be set like in the contemporary times, sir. But well, all right. So what it's about in a nutshell, right? It involves this woman, who is played by Kate is how you put it,
Mukuchi.
Mikuchi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why I just going into these episodes blind. I was like, hey, I remember you,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I know you.
The
You cool. Yeah.
Garfunkel notes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But again, did not expect to see her in this, right? And oh yeah, she performance wise, she is great in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she is, pretty much this nobody, right? She works at this bank. She has to deal with her coworkers. Pretty much always, they always show it off. They look way better than her, right? And she just feels like, nobody likes me because I'm not hot and I don't wear makeup and blah 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 and all that kind of stuff. I'm not attractive, right? Her husband, who is this policeman now, he genuinely like loves her, right? But she still feels like, nobody cares about me, right? So she sees this commercial for the skin cream, right? And points for how they pull this off, right? So they do the thing where the TV, the person in the TV is literally talking to the protagonist. It's like, yes, I'm talking to you. You need to use this product. You need to call this number and buy this product, right? And yeah, you just see this downward spiral. Well, pretty much this her pretty much going deeper and deeper into madness the more that she uses the skin cream. I'll stop it, right? But yeah, touching on I should mention too, it is directed by Anna Lily Amirpour. If I
Okay.
got the surname wrong, forgive me, right? This is a name that I've been hearing about for the longest while. I know that she did a movie called A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. This Iranian vampire film. I've always been hearing a lot of great things about it, but I need to check it out, right? So yeah, but I would say yeah, this is my second favorite though. Well, Ricardo, you could chime in and tell me what you thought about it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the story was great though. Kate just is so captivating. You just buy into her, especially the way how she looks just in real life though. Especially those bug eyes of her,
Yeah.
sorry. Which yeah, but again, just perfect casting, right? Yeah, she sells it, right? Yeah, you just buy into her just being so undermined by the world around us. So it's like, yeah, I just want to use this. I want to be beautiful, so let's use the skin cream stuff, right? I mean, the premise is not a new one, right? And if there's one tiny gripe I have about the show as a whole, is that premise-wise, you've kind of seen this stuff before, right? So, perfect example with the outside. If you remember a little movie from the 80s called The Stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, it's essentially that.
Yeah.
It's this cream
Cream
and
does do
cream, yeah,
anything.
this miracle cream that's supposed to help you, but no, the cream is pretty much evil and it turns
Yeah.
people, it turns them inside out, so to speak, right? It's that, right? And they even like visually show that yeah, it is literally like the cream itself is possessed, but maybe it's all in the head. I love that. I love the whole ambiguity with that too, right? But the transformation near the end with her though totally works. I love that they actually use a particular song, "You Sexy Thing." That when they cue that in, well, it's a cover of that song too. I was like, all right, yeah, this works. And just seeing this the 180 that she does though totally works. And I would say, without spoiling anything, guys, and I kind of had to spoil this for you, Ricardo. The end of the show remember Pearl.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, just that final moment, just that closing shot is similar to Pearl. And when I saw that, I was just smiling. I was like, yeah, this is Pearl all over again. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And again, sorry to spoil this again, Ricardo. Even her spiral into madness is very much like Pearl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even one of the weapons that she uses is like Pearl.
Yeah. Okay.
So I did like, wait, no, like I don't watch Pearl and do this. No, it was so weird. It was really weird, right? But yeah, overall, this is my second like favorite one. This is really enjoyable for me. But again, I just love like the retro world of it as well too, because I forgot to mention too, even the commercials themselves really feel like something out in the 80s or 90s with the 1-800-999 this is this. And I just watch the visual quality of those commercials. Like this shit from the 80s or from the 90s. But everything else still feels like it's supposed to be contemporary, but it kind of also feels like it's some like it could be set in the 90s or the 80s. You're not really sure. I like the ambiguity in terms of the timeline of this episode here. But still, I actually thought this was a great psychological episode of this season here. But yeah, Ricardo, what were your thoughts on the outside? Quickly.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's a great episode. It just nice and creepy and weird. Again, the stuff totally the
It's the
stuff.
stuff.
Straight up the stuff, yeah. Yeah, Maguchi works as because the thing with Maguchi, she does have this kind of frumpy look about her, right? She sell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she just kind of this kind of goofiness about her, and so for her to play this role, it makes sense about attractiveness and being a thing, and all these weirdos who constantly on her about it. As I say, if you look up Nadia Lee Cohen, it's straight up that. Remember drama the video Gilligan?
Yes, yes,
Right.
yes, yes.
It's feel like that. That kind of high saturation, 1960s look to everything. But what time period this was in? I forget.
That's the thing. Like it's never said.
Not clear.
But I was watching like again. I'm watching the commercials and the styles of them, and it feels like very 80s and 90s. So
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And even right down to like how the characters talk in a sense have a sort of like a 80s or 90s
Well,
movie style.
you're watching, you're
it's
watching
like
the
that.
you're watching the shoulder pads and all of that. No.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It's just this weird character piece. I was like, all right, this show kind of hard though. It's actually better get more time for it, but it's like, all right, this real drill do. Yeah, solid episode for me.
Yeah, and also points for the sort of Terry Gilliam is kind of vibe,
Yes.
especially when it came to
Yes.
the women who worked at the bank, right?
Yeah.
Especially like how they always kind of zero in on their face and they always like close the camera and always laughing like
Yeah.
always exaggerate like ha 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 like
Yeah,
that.
it's a-
Like,
it's a-
like,
that-
like
that-
very
that's
very very
surrealist, yeah.
12 Monkeys, very Brazil, like
Yeah.
I like that. That was cool, But easily my favorite episode has got to be Graveyard Rats way.
Okay.
This is directed by Vincenzo Natali, right? He did stuff like Splice and Cube, right? This is the second episode actually, right? And this was just, I don't know, it was just this loving throwback to just, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a period piece, right? I believe it's set in the 1920s, I think it is, right? If I'm not mistaken, if I got the timeline wrong, forgive me, right? But yeah, really what it's about? It's just about this grave robber, right? Who is pretty much told by this guy that if he don't cough up some money in a week's time, he will get killed, right? So through some circumstances, he ends up setting his sights on this particular casket, right? So as he's about to dive in now and steal shit now, he ends up like just seeing all these like these caverns, right? So he's going there trying to steal stuff and whatnot, right? But then he learns that there was this kind of like satanic cult there, and there's like this gigantic rat there, and all these other rats there, and all these kind of weird, creepy stuff, right? But essentially, what makes it work though is for me as a fan of Evil Dead now, it has that sort of roller coaster style in terms of like the scares itself. Like, it's just one scare after another, after another, after another. And you're just following this one character that's losing his shit with every second that passes, right? And yeah, it's just essentially him, underground having to deal with rats. So yeah, if you don't like rats, don't watch this one. But yeah, I just had a blast with this though. Just from the visuals, the cinematography, the lead himself, David Hewlett, right? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He was in it.
Okay.
That's great
Is,
too. Yeah,
Rodney from Stargate Atlantis.
I believe so. I believe
Yeah.
so. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Yeah,
No, but
yeah.
I didn't know it was him, because they did some great makeup on him. I
Right,
didn't
yeah.
even know, right?
Yeah,
But
he's Rodney McKay in Stargate Atlantis. Yeah.
All right, all right, all right. But yeah, he was fantastic in this as well too. It has, even though it's set in the States, it has that sort of, how to say, that sort of British, um, 19th century kind of vibe to it too, especially with the sort of rain-soaked cinematography and all that. It has that kind of British look to it, though. But it's set in the States, though, you know what I mean? But still, it's just how everything plays out. I don't know. I just had a blast watching this. It's the most fun that you'll have being scared, in this show right here, right? Another favorite of mine, just run through quickly here, is The Viewing, which happens to be directed by Panos Cosmatos, right?
Okay.
You may not know the name, but you know a film that he made, Mandy.
Yeah,
One of my favorite
right.
shows of the past decade.
Right.
Yeah. And for me, this is one that I know some people may not care for, narrative-wise, because narrative-wise, there isn't a lot that goes on with it. What I mean is, right? So essentially, it just centers on this wealthy guy. He just calls these individuals just for one night, just to talk to them. They really establishing what it is they do. Your boy Eric Andre was in it as well. I was
Right.
like, hey,
I heard you was in this, yeah.
Hey, Wood, you in this? All right, cool. And he was great, actually. He was real funny in this, right? And yeah, it's just him. Well, he acquired this. Also, didn't expect to see McGill, Sophia Boutella in this. I was like,
Right, I know she was in this,
alright,
yeah.
Cool. You know what I mean? But in a nutshell, he just acquired this sort of demonic kind of item. That's all I'll see. And well, hell breaks loose and shit hits the fan, and that's all I'll see. I don't want to spoil anything beyond that, right? But really, for me, what make it work though is just the visual style of it as well, too, right? If you know one thing about like say like Panos' work, right? Whether it's Mandy or the film that he did before Beyond the Black Rainbow, right? He has
Right.
this surreal, dreamlike way of just how he shoots stuff, right? The cinematography and as well, right? Yeah, it just has this sort of psychedelic. It feels literally like you're under the influence, right? And he does that here, right? And it's so funny that I ended up watching this like this was the I ended up watching this at night, right? Cause yeah, his shit literally works best when you watch it at night, to be honest, right? Yeah, it just has this heasiness as well too, right? And also points for the synth music that they use here. It's actually set in the late 70s. I thought it was gonna be some 80s stuff, right? And also because Panos just kind of loved that schlocky VHS horror stuff now. Yeah, it does feel like you're watching some sort of horror films from the 80s, right? And yeah, I know he's a huge fan of that, right? But yeah, I know some people may not dig this episode because, the pacing and maybe, just, I don't know, just nothing much going on. But I was just digging the vibe of all of it. And then, well, again, when shit hits you fan, I don't know. I was just enjoying all that shit too. I forgot to mention too, even we boy Peter Weller was in it as well. He is the he's the wealthy guy in it as well, right? So yeah, really enjoyed this episode. But again, it's just for me, like for me, it just kind of cater to like what I enjoy, from Panos. But I know for some people it might be like, yeah, this is not really my kind of shit, right? But those I would say those are the two that I really enjoyed, right? The others I would say they're fine, kind of hit or miss here or there, right? So just kind of mention what they are just quickly, right? So we have like Lot 36, which is the same one that's directed by Guillermo Navarro. Um, what I would just say, just for the ones that sort of hit or miss for me, is the pacing. Pacing, I felt is a really like big issue with these episodes here, because for me, right, with the exception of say, you know, um, Graveyard Rats, right, where they just kind of get the ball rolling one time. Here, you just kind of have to wait for the scares to come, right? And
Right.
if you're just that impatient type who just kind of wants scares to come for now, yeah, you're just kind of watch. He's like, all right, when things gonna happen? Come on, come on, come on. But I do like how unexpected these scares do come, right? In particular, right? But yeah, the other episodes, like I say, are good for what they Lot to the eight that sorry Lot to the six. That's the one that opens the season here. It's fine for what it is, right? It's Tim Blake Nelson. Didn't expect to see him in this, but yeah, essentially it's just about this asshole of a guy who acquires this storage locker, and apparently somebody had owned one, but he acquired it, and he's like, no, this is my shit. You're not gonna get your shit back. Fuck you and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
right? But yeah, it has some demonic stuff in it as well too, and you kind of know, given the fact that it is a horror anthology show, you kind of know how these episodes do play out. They do center on a character that you kind of sympathize with, but they do it some dumb shit. They do more dumb shit that involves the supernatural, and then they just kind of just get the just reward in the end. So essentially, that's how it is, right? With Lot 36. Same thing I would say with. All right. Well, I should mention another great episode is the autopsy, right? This
Right.
one is directed by David Pryor. Not too familiar with his work, although I know he did a show that I remember you mentioned as one of your favorites from last year, being Vor instead of
Right.
Nor,
Right.
right? He
Yeah.
did Vor, right?
Hmm.
And speaking of noir, this one actually does feel the most noirish, in my opinion, right? It actually reminds me a lot of Seven, to be honest, right? Because you have these two cups, well, actually one cup and one guy who, well, this medical examiner, sorry, right? So they got F. Murray Abraham, of
Okay.
all people, to
Nice
be in
one.
this. Like, all right, cool. You even got Glenn Tillman, right? He plays a cop in it. I was like, all right, what you in this too? Okay, right? But yeah, they pretty much investigated a set of like really like grisly murders. The victims themselves, the blood is drained, and what is about is just essentially about this alien that more or less inhabits humans, right? And it pretty much ends with the the alien himself in a human body. That this moment is actually great, right? With him more or less talking to F. Murray's character, right? 'Cause, yeah, he wants to embody, he wants to inhabit his body. Sorry, but he pretty much telling him why he's doing it and the procedure and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it does involve an autopsy, right? And I would say if you don't like to see, human innards, then yeah, this shit is not gonna be for you, man. So yeah, if you're scared easy, yeah, this is not for you, right? But I do like it in that sort of like, because that sort of sci-fi horror existential kind of vibe to it. I like that. The whole idea that yes, this is the way that this alien needs to survive, but yeah, it pretty much involves cutting you open and me
Right.
going up inside you. I like that. That was really cool, right? We have Pickman's model, which I honestly thought I was really gonna enjoy. Given the fact that we had, great actors. We had Ben Barnes in it as well. We had Crispin Glover. Crispin Glover was in it as
Yeah,
well, right?
yeah, right.
But yeah, essentially this one, like, while it had some solid scares in it, this one was just more like for me the problem was just the premise itself. So in a nutshell, it's just about these two artists, right? And one guy, well, the older of the two, right? Well, that the older one being Richard, who is played by Crispin, right? So it's pretty much established that he just likes drawing like these really morbid, character portraits, right? So it usually involves cadavers or corpses and all that kind of stuff, right? And Ben's character is kind of fascinated by all this. He wants to know why, right? And through some, well, you kind of learn later on that it has to do with Richard's family. Whose family was involved in witchcraft. And then, well, it kind of involves, well, Will is Ben's name, right? In this episode, yeah, it kind of involves him just seeing a bunch of really macabre shit, right? And I would say, in terms of visuals, though, yeah, this has some of the, yeah, some of the most blood curdling, sorry, moments in this season, bar none, though. But I just felt like premise wise, there wasn't really much to it. That, oh, this guy is weird. I want to know more about him. Oh, he's too weird. Stay away from me and my family. And it's just about him just being weird and creepy for the sake of being weird and creepy. But yeah, where the show really shines though is just the visuals, just how weird and messed up they are, right? And it's so funny that it's from H.P. Lovecraft. So if you're familiar with his storytelling or his characters, his creatures or whatnot, then yeah, you kind of know what to expect with here, right?
Right.
Two more episodes ago, we have Dreams in the Witch House. This was another one that I really wanted to enjoy more, but again, it's just tin premise. But when it comes to just the visual effects and whatnot and the creatures, yeah, that's where they excel more at, right? This actually stars Rupert Grint, right?
Right. Yeah. I
Ron
know he was
Weasley,
in
right?
this. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Harry Potter, right? And yeah, it just essentially involves this guy who lost his sister when he was young, but the sister ended up getting sucked into this dimension, and he figured out a way to go into the dimension. It actually it's this sort of this foggy forest that she's a part of. So it's not really hell, but it's supposed to be purgatory.
Right.
They try to get her out, but it has this witch and this other demon trying to escape as well too. So he's being tormented by it, and like it sounds good on paper, but again, I don't know. It's just that the premise didn't really do much for me, right? But again, similar to Pickman's model, if you just like just really twisted and shocking and scary visuals, then yeah, you'll enjoy this one. But I just kind of wanted more premise-wise, right? And last but not least, we have The Burberry, right, which is directed by Jennifer Kent, right? This also, well, this is one of the two, well, based off of one of the two short stories that Guillermo del Toro wrote. Well, the first one being Lot 36, which is the first episode, right? And I would say this is actually my third favorite, right? Even though I imagine people might find the pacing to be off. Well, really, it's just a slow burn, right? But I think it works here, right? Because yeah, this is a story that touches on grief, right? It's centered on a couple who are into, well, bird watching basically, right? Nancy and Edgar, right? Nancy is played by Essie Davis, who you remember as the
Right.
star of the Babadook,
Right. Okay. Right.
right?
Right.
And Edgar, ironically enough, is played by Andrew Lincoln.
Okay.
I.e., yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
Rick, man.
Rick, right from
Yeah.
Walking Dead, right?
Rick
And
man.
it was so funny seeing it without the man. That was so funny seeing
Right.
that, right? But yeah, it's established that, well, yes, they're a married couple. They're into birds. They pretty much rented this abandoned house, right, to study this particular bird. That's and they set up early on, the idea of birds. I forget what the term is, but essentially, like, when someone dies, the bird is carries that soul into the afterlife. I believe it's an Egyptian sort of belief. I believe
Okay.
it is. But yeah, that's what they're going for with this, right? But the birds now kind of congregated around this particular house. but they not really leaving to go south or anything like that. They just stuck around the house. They're not really sure why. But then, well, Nancy learns that well, there was a couple there. Well, the mother and the child of whom passed away, right? But you learn that they passed away in some really like weird ways, right? And essentially just kind of set up that the spirits are there. And the reason why the birds are there is that the spirits themselves don't want to leave,
Yeah.
right? And well, yeah, I mean, similar to the Babadook now, S.C. Davis's character is just being tormented by these freaky images and whatnot. Of course, Andrew Lincoln, well, his character Edgar being the one who, I don't believe. Well, sorry, she says she doesn't believe in ghosts, but eventually, she just, that she has to kind of debunk that, right?
Right.
But yeah, Andrew is the one who's just like, no, you're just dealing with, with loss because of what happened, and I don't want to say what it is, but it's kind of obvious when you watch it, But yeah, it's just like, oh, you're just dealing with this grief and you don't know how to deal with it. And it's just kind of manifested through these dreams as he assumes they are, right?
Yeah.
And it is that, right? But it's not really so much dreams. It's just kind of her having to deal with her own grief through someone else's. And it just happens to be the person who lived in that house, right? So yeah, while this episode was not as scary as the ones I mentioned before, is really just the leads themselves and just how they just the chemistry that they had and just the concept as well. While it's not a new one in terms of dealing with grief, right? I don't know. It's like for me, that has always been like a trope of horror films that always kind of captivate me, right? Whether it's stuff like Don't Look Now or The Babadook. Yeah, just the idea of I'm trying to deal with grief. I'm not sure how,
Right.
but here's this monster, and now I have to face this in order to move forward. I like that, right? And I thought it was really interesting, centered it on birds too, right? And just the idea of their symbolism in terms of the afterlife
Yeah.
as well too. So it really makes for a really captivating story, and I would say it has the most optimistic ending of all the other episodes that we got so far, because everything else has pretty much been just like these sort of dark, twisted, kind of pessimistic conclusions. But this one was hopeful. I like that. And so after give credit to Del Toro for at least giving me an optimistic conclusion to
Right.
this series here, and for Jennifer Kent, of course, just doing a great job, behind the camera. She just killed it with the direction here, right? So yeah, as a whole, while this show does not reinvent the wheel as far as horror anthology series go,
Right.
I would say that this is one that I think that we needed, man, because I actually do defend the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone series, right?
Okay. Right.
But I think the problem, unfortunately, with that show is why do we need it? Yes, we know Jordan Peele. Yes, I know you're a Twilight Zone fan, but that can't be the only reason why we
Yeah.
have
He
this,
needs to
right?
do something with it. Yeah.
So yeah, they really needed to justify its existence, and I guess they couldn't do it enough. So that's why it got cancelled, right, after 2 seasons, which is unfortunate, right? But this one feels like, yeah, we kind of need this, and
Yeah.
it's in the perfect platform, i.e. Netflix. It has stuff like Black Mirror
Yeah.
and other shows
Yeah.
like it
Exactly.
did.
That's how I just think it does like fantasy Black Mirror or horror fantasy Black
Yeah,
Mirror.
yeah,
That's
horror
how I
fantasy
stick it.
Black
Yeah.
Mirror. That's exactly what
Yeah.
it
That's
is,
the
right?
writing solid. They run through the scenarios
Yeah,
of the scare scenarios and then make it work. And it's
exactly.
all about
Yeah.
these big solid character pieces anyway. But the scenario is also interesting.
Yeah, and even better now, it does not rely on the title.
Yeah.
Because that was the problem with the Twilight Zone. People went
Right.
in
You'll
expecting
get
the
going
Twilight
to
Zone.
expecting something.
Yeah, and again, you're just expecting why we have the Twilight Zone here in the 2020s, and well, we didn't really get a proper answer for that, right?
Right.
But here's like, all right, we have a guy that loves horror, loves the macabre, right? Guillermo del Toro, right? He's given these directors the opportunities to direct these episodes. Great, right? And you just kind of go in and you get what you get out of it, right? So as usual with anthologies, not all the episodes land, not all of them that you'll enjoy, but there are a few that I really did enjoy. So for me, Graveyard Rats, The Outside, and The Murmuring are my three favorites. The others are fine for what they are. They're fine for what they are, right? I would say Pickman's Model and Dreams in the Witch House are great in terms of like if you just want those like just really like weird shit. Like if you just really like just want to see something really scary and messed up, yeah, you can watch those, right? And
Yeah.
I forgot to mention too, because it's Del Toro boy, the creature design though.
Yeah.
My God, the creature design is on point with this. You will see some weird ass creatures in this, like some shit that nightmares are made of, right? And yeah, if the show really gets points with those, right? Even though it is different directors, yeah, the creature design is great, right? So I would say it's a matter of what you expect from these episodes, because yeah, it's touching on different subgenres of horror, right? So if you're the type who likes your horrors quick and fast, you'll enjoy Graveyard Rats. If you like your slow burn, you'll enjoy the Murmuring. If you like the weird shit and you're not really sure what's going on and you're just kind of there wondering what's going to happen next, you'll enjoy stuff like Pickman's Model and Dreams in the Witch House. If you like to see reality twisted, you'll enjoy The Outside, right? Or if you just like really gross out shit, then you'll enjoy the autopsy, right? Um, so again, it just kind of rests on what you know it all relies on the types of horrors that you enjoy, right? But I will say, just in closing before I get to rating, if you're genuinely looking for something to watch, because I mean there's so much horrors to choose from, right? But if you're just looking for something a little bit different, if you just won't mind watching a series out that is Halloween themed, what I mean, during the holidays, yeah, I mean give this show a look, man. And I do expect to see another season of it very soon. I'm not sure when, but maybe we might wait a couple more years. We might get another season. But I think that this is a solid opening season to this series
Nice.
here, and I really do want to see more of it because I mean, it's Del Toro, right? I want to see this man do more great things, right? So rating wise, I'm gonna give this decent 3.5 out of 5, man. It's worth checking out, right? It's worth
Right.
checking out, right? Not all the episodes you'll love, but there will be a few that you will absolutely enjoy, right? And on the subject of that, feel free to let me know which episode was your favorite, like your top favorite, right? Or if you want to, you can rank them from best to worst, right? But yeah, there will be a favorite episode of yours in this season here. But if you are a horror fan and you're just really looking for something to just sink your teeth in for the Halloween season and onward, yeah, give Cabinet a Curiosities a
Right.
watch, man.